Hi, this is John Grant with the REI Policy Institute. You can learn more about us at reipolicy.com. The Institute is a lobbying effort financed by Randy Patrick, who's an investor in Tampa. I'm the lobbyist who handles both the policy work and kind of the research and content development as well. Mostly we focus, or almost exclusively we focus on distressed property matters. A couple big ticket items, the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act, and specifically how the GSEs handle certain distressed properties in terms of valuations and things like that. When you visit the site, you can subscribe to our newsletter, annual subscription of $99. All of which goes to supporting the lobbying effort. You can also sign up and subscribe to our YouTube channel and also to our Facebook page. This week I wanted to talk about an article that I saw. It was a quote from Realty Track about how some of the things happening now in the housing market are similar to the things that were happening pre-bubble, or before the bubble popped. Specifically, what they reference is, we've seen institutions, as anyone who's following either my newsletter, which has a lot more detailed information, or these just updates that I do. We've recently talked about how institutional buyers were fleeing the residential scene for a while. What you saw replace them was a lot of smaller investors who want to get in the game. But the problem is the institutional investors, the smaller investors, the kind of mom and pop types, I think are inflating. They're essentially paying too much. And the evidence for that, if you look at the foreclosure discount, we've seen that really tighten up the last couple months, as well as the short sale discount. Normally, you see a span of about 15% or so, and I think it constricted to 10 or even under 10%. So that's a real issue, I think. And what is it indicative of? Well, it's indicative of the fact that the institutional buyers think it's a terrible time to be buying, distressed real estate. They don't think they're getting the deals that they should get. I have different theories on that. They were looking for very specific properties for their models. It's also clear that their models are changing. We know that they're selling off some of their assets for sale now to the people renting them. So, I'm not sure about that argument, but what is certainly true is that for the mom and pop investor, the market right now is, I think, a little overheated for sure in terms of the prices that people are getting. Now, the conclusion that the article kind of reaches is that this is a harbinger of a potential crisis. And I would say this, while certainly this activity seems similar, essentially what they're pointing to is speculation driving up prices. But in my opinion, the volume isn't there. The number of distressed sales overall is a lot lower than it used to be, at least comparatively. So I think there's a problem here in terms of the overall size of the market right now, in terms of available inventory, the number of sales going on. I just don't see this as... It sort of harkens back to something that I said earlier when people were talking about home prices as well. It seems a little bit rigged because I think market participation seems kind of skewed. And I guess I'm kind of arguing that here as well. I don't think that the sort of sample size is broad enough for us to reach any real conclusions yet. There is no question that there is a similarity, but when you look at the market, the data is so disparate based on the region that we're talking about. I just don't really see the evidence for a national trend. That said, there are still great opportunities for residential investors. There was RealtyTrack also put out their top 10 states for foreclosures. I'm just looking down, but I spent 22 years in D.C. I recently moved to South Carolina. Very happy I did. I got a place by a lake, so who can complain about that? But South Carolina's on the list, Florida, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey. So I mean, there's a big kind of East Coast, concentration here. So I think there are always opportunities for investors. But I think it's important investors have all the data here, so they know what is the best price that they should be getting, and where are the best places to get them. There's a couple other items real quick I want to touch on. Affordable housing continues to, Congress just passed a bill on that. Not really in our wheelhouse, but worth mentioning. I track a lot of state legislation these days for other clients, and one of the common themes I always see, besides the usual things that you see, budget fights and things like that, I see a ton of bills on opioid use, and I see a ton of bills on the lack of affordable housing. So if you're an investor and you have some sort of solution to affordable housing, I think there'd be a lot of people willing to listen to you. So I think that's something to definitely explore. In terms of the lobbying front, I can tell you I had a pretty broad briefing last week on progress with the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act. Essentially, I think we're talking about in 2017, we'll have the showdown on whether or not we can make this thing permanent or not, the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act. This was something that I worked on a lot. I worked with a former board member of an association who is based in Maryland, a really, really brilliant guy. And we went to Congress and then kind of updated him along the way. The realtors played a critical role in that. We had gotten some pretty significant momentum prior to their annual trip, and then once they showed up, I think the deal was pretty much closed. So this year I think it's going to be tougher for reasons why I've explained in newsletters and in other videos. So I think it's important for investors to know that. In terms of, well, hey, are we going to get it or not? I mean, that's the bottom line. The answer is I don't know. I can tell you that we're going to try. If it were a slam dunk, we would already have it. So that means it's going to take some actual work. And I'm certainly going to put in that work. So that's what we're going to do. I don't think there's anything else big this week, but well, listen, thanks for your time. Again, reipolicy.com to sign up for the YouTube channel and Facebook, and I will have another briefing for you hopefully next week. Okay? Thank you. Bye.